Okay, this is a pre-op of a root that we have to extract. We're going to be using a first to remove some of the excess tissue over the top that's grown over this extraction site. We're going to take it out without a flap. Now we're going to use a diamond here, and that's just to clean off the margins so we can see where the broken root is, because we're going to remove it again without a flap using a periotome. So we need to see the margin of where the tooth ends and the PDL begins, so that we can go ahead and introduce a periotome inside. Okay, now what we're doing is introducing a periotome that's available from Schumacher. You can email us, we'll tell you where to get that from. And now I'm looking for where the PDL begins, and I'm going to begin by inserting a periotome, which is like a little mini knife. I'm going to rock it back and forth, insert it into the PDL space to eliminate the attachment of this broken root. Most likely this has a buccal and palatal root. So I have to make sure that I angle the periotome towards the palatal root separately than from the buccal root, because in between the two roots is going to be a piece of bone that I will not be able to cut very readily. Now that I've introduced it on the both buccal and palatal root, I'm going to again continue to work it down, take it out, and now we're going to go ahead and do it on the mesial surface of this broken root. Again, first once towards the palatal root, working it in by a rocking back and forth motion and inserting it to separate the PDL. And it takes a little while to introduce it down all the way to the apex. And once I do that, I've eliminated the attachment to the root. Now we're going to take a proximator. This is a straight wall proximator, also available from Schumacher. Inserting, it's a very sharp instrument, again designed to loosen the tooth without destroying the buccal plate. It is a sharp-edged instrument, much like an elevator. We're going to loosen the roots separately, buccal and palatal roots, and it takes a little bit of time, and then once we get it loose, we've luxated it, continuing to introduce it to the PDL space, and you can see it's beginning to loosen up. That should come right out. We're taking a special pair of extraction forceps which have vertical grooves on it. They grab it. We've gotten the buccal root out. Now we're going to grab it and grab the palatal root out again with special groove root removal. There it is. So now we've got a buccal and palatal root. We're going to now angle towards use the palatal root, angle it towards the buccal so we can introduce the implant in immediately. We're going to be starting with our osteotomy drills. We'll continue. Make sure that we've exited in the right direction, which is out towards the buccal root. Again, going into the palatal root socket, exiting out towards the buccal root, using various osteotomy drills. Standard, you'd use first a 2 millimeter drill, then you'd use a 2.8, and then finally a 3.5. We're going to be using a 4.1 implant today. We're going to measure the socket. This is flapless, as you can tell. I'm using a periodontal probe to make sure that I have enough room and I don't perforate the palatal wall by introducing too much of an osteotomy on the palatal root. If it is thin, then I would abandon procedure, graft it, and not put the implant in on the same day. Okay, again, continuing, checking my socket, making sure I've not perforated, making sure I've got adequate thickness both from the mesial side and from the buccal side and from the palatal side, and making sure I'm not going to perforate again. This is not a flapless procedure, so I need to envision what the palatal bone looks like. Okay, I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to use a osteotome, making sure that my osteotome is going to enlarge the area to approximately 3.5 millimeters by a spinning motion. I don't use a hammer, again, because I'm a little bit concerned about the palatal bone over here. I don't want to drill it. I want to force it. I just did. Again, I'm checking it, making sure I haven't gone towards the perforated, and my size and depth are adequate. I'm picking out the proper sized implant. There's the implant loaded in place. It's on a Blue Sky Bio implant on a mountless insertion tool that's directly connected to a handpiece. Now that it's in all the way, I'm going to just remove it. I'm going to insert a hand instrument to tighten it the rest of the way. Much easier than using the mount design where I have to remove it with two hands. Now it's seated all the way. I am now going to insert my post, my abutment into place using a torque wrench at 30 Newton centimeters. This is not an immediate load case, and it's going to be a temporary out of occlusion. I am using a plastic abutment available from LifeCore. The nice thing about Blue Sky Bio is that both LifeCore single stage and Straumann implant parts will fit. This is some cap set or some plaster into the area to seal off the buccal root. Remember, some synthetic bone and cap set because we don't want anything going inside. Here's the implant into place with its abutment. Again, what I've done is I've sealed